Yeah, I want to get into kind of your playbook and that process of, where can people be applying AI broadly speaking? Because I think use cases is it's a very businessy word, but I do think that use cases and being able to take this tool and apply it to your own life is the part that connects with anyone. And
Mhm.
so whenever you're able to make it personal and then solve a pain point or a problem that someone has, like you
Yeah.
were saying, the marketers want data, they don't necessarily know how to do it or they don't have the resources to do it because it's too expensive to hire someone to do it. Like whenever you're able to kind of address that specific pain point, that's where you get that inflection, that's where you get that change and you get that adoption of that new behavior. So did you have to spend a lot of time in these conversations, coaxing, pulling, identifying what use cases are while also learning the tool? Or was it you had one use case, you're able to kind of show up with that use case and people were like, oh, I get it, let's use it?
That is a great question. I almost feel it is one of the most misunderstood aspects of AI. So, the way that I think about it, which isn't your direct question, but it'll get to the direct question, is that first you have to have a process. Then you have to understand all the steps in that process, because then you have the use cases. Then you got to think about, can I delegate this? Can I automate it? Can I add AI to help with it? And what everybody does, and we'll talk about it more, is they go straight to the prompt and they try to solve the problem. And it's like, wait a second, that's step 8. Step 1 is way back here. And what I found for myself is that when I'm doing things 100% human, I can just jump all over the place. Like it's like I'm ADHD, just running around doing all kinds of different stuff. But if I stop and have a focus and say, all right, I'm going to do something in one 45-minute period from beginning to end, and these are all the steps, and I'm going to like write it in Figma or Whimsical or whatever, Miro, whatever you use, like to make yourself do that first before you go to a prompt, and then say, ooh, which one of these things could AI help with? I mean, that right there, like go back to school or take a class or just thinking through that, it is it's difficult, to just sit like there's, people will say there's an art to delegating. There's an art to automation and process development, and not everybody's cut out for it. So, and until you do that, you really can't sit and say, how can AI help me? Now you can do that individually. I usually have people start with themselves. Like, can it do a report for you? Can it do a grocery list? Can it, can it fold your laundry? But what can you do, just of yourself, just to get used to interacting with it? Much like if you got a virtual assistant, you got to figure out how to say the right things to get the job back. You have to learn how to enter, and most people do. They kind of play around with the prompts and do different things, but just there is a huge exercise. But to really get AI to work for you, or to help with any part of the process, I mean, you gotta sit down and think about this a little bit.
The
So I
words that you're
was figuring out the
using.
process while I was learning AI. That
Yeah,
now I can apply it to other processes quicker, but that first
yeah.
time, man, it was a mess. It took 9 months.
I think even the way in which you talk about using it is, you said numerous times, get it to help me, right? Have it work on or work with me on something. And I think that shift, and again, you said it took 9 months to kind of figure out what that process is, but understanding that this is not a tool that replaces something. And generally speaking, whenever we create a tool as humans, whether it's a,
And
a
humans,
stick to
right?
kill animals, or it's fire to cook meat, or it's the browser to browse the web, you have to use the tool and work with it. It's not going to completely replace the thing. Even a
Right.
dishwasher, you have to load and unload and maintain
Yeah.
and all these other things, right? So understanding that this is a tool like any other and that you have to engage with it, you have to understand it, and there's no instruction manual currently. So you have to just kind of learn through experimentation and then learn how do I best use and work with this so it can help me in the things that I would do already. And like you said, well, when you are asking for help, and it's kind of garbage in, garbage out. If you ask for vague, ambiguous help from someone of, hey, can you help me move? They might show up and bring a pizza because they thought you needed food, or maybe they'll bring a dolly so they can lift stuff, or maybe they'll just come and keep you company, right? But if you ask a friend, hey, can you show up at this time on this date and carry a bunch of boxes in my apartment to help me move to this other place, you'll get more
Exactly.
specific results out of the ask. And the same thing applies to AI.
Exactly. Well said.